All right, you guys ready? All right, we're going to have a great time. So, Katie, why don't you take it away?
Great. Welcome, everyone. And I hope everyone can hear me out here. Very good. Excellent. Well, thanks for joining us. We're really excited to have this session with you guys. But before we jump in, we have a lot to cover. But we wanted to get a sense of who do we have in the room today. It always helps us kind of cater the conversations, cater some of the demos, examples, et cetera. So first, just a show of hands, who's in the room that would consider yourself an IT pro? Okay, wow. Okay, that makes a ton of sense. How about business users? Okay, so some as well, great. And then finally, Microsoft partners. Do we have partners in the room? Okay, a few. Awesome, so a good mix, good. And as you walked in, you saw a survey pop up. And I think it might be hard for some of you maybe in the back to kind of maybe see what the results were. But we were doing just a quick poll, and we'll tweet it, and you can continue to respond if you'd like. But we wanted to do a quick poll to see really what challenges you're seeing in your organizations around adoption. And that's really what we're here to cover today. We'll spend the full 75 minutes really diving deep on Office 365 adoption and how you as IT and as the business can really drive success within your organization. But we talk to customers all the time, and there's really some key challenges, and that's what Dux just popped up on the screen. So we're not going to try to give you like a silver bullet today that's going to address all of them. I mean, there's more than 4. I mean, we were just giving kind of a sampling there. But we will walk you through our methodology and give you some best practices that you can take away and bring back to your company. But with that, we'll do a quick intros here. My name is Katie Larson. I'm with Microsoft. I'm in the deployment and usage team in Office Marketing. And my day-to-day function is really to look at driving programs, driving campaigns with our customers and our partners. So I think all 3 of us hugely passionate up here. And I'll let my co-presenters go ahead and introduce themselves as well.
Sure. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, everybody, for coming here. This is day 3. Awesome conference, isn't it? You guys want to come back to next Ignite? He will. How about you guys? No? My name is Dux, and it's a privilege to be here. And it's great to meet everybody I haven't met. I work for AvePoint, and I serve as the CTO of our public sector business. I work a lot with government organizations around the world, and I'll certainly share a lot of stories. But from a professional background, I've been working with this technology called SharePoint. You call that ScarePoint, right? Since 1999. Passionate about how this wonderful technology can deliver business value. I wrote the first business-focused book around SharePoint called SharePoint for Project Management. And in the last couple of years, really working with organizations, decision makers, in really bridging the gap between, we spent this much money with Microsoft, show me what we're getting. Show me the bang for our buck. Enough of the whole collaboration, knowledge management, extranet, kumbaya. Yes? And that's what we're here to do. We're going to show you, when the rubber hits the road, how do we do this and make it work? So very excited. We're going to show you a lot of good stuff. This session is recorded. Let's make it interactive. If you have questions, raise your hand. Any comments, feel free. And again, I'm so excited today to be on stage with Katie and Lindsay.
Thanks, Dux. My name is Lindsay Gardner, and I am on the same team with Katie Larson here. We're on the deployment and usage team for Office 365. And my daily kind of focus is around best practices, what works, what doesn't for customers and partners, and successfully driving adoption. Before joining the usage team, I was part of the Yammer sales team. So in order to effectively sell Yammer, you had to sell the value of how organizations and businesses use Yammer. So I'm very passionate about adoption and really driving that end user success with solutions. So to kick it off, let's talk about why we're all here today. I'd like to think it's because we all care deeply about user adoption, and we all have that same passion for driving success. But what does user adoption mean? So for me personally, adoption isn't just users using the tool. It's really users understanding the tool, understanding what it can do for them, particularly what kind of business they can do, or what kind of business impact it can help them have. It's become part of their everyday processes and habitual use. So it has a really deeper meaning, and it's that long-term use where they really love the products and what they're using. So when we're looking at the situation today and challenges that we see customers kind of facing quite frequently, is that adoption, it doesn't happen overnight. We've never come across a customer where they deployed and snapped their fingers, and the next day everyone is just wildly successful using every capability of the platform. It doesn't work. You need to be proactive, design a plan, build a community, have a thoughtful communications strategy supporting that, training. So we'll walk through all of that in the next hour to make sure you guys are all on board with that. But yeah, it's a process, it's a journey. So I think having that expectation up front is really valuable. Also, another challenge that we see is we have a lot of customers who are willing to go to the cloud and they deploy Office 365, but there's no intention of creating any type of adoption plan. So they deploy, and then everything kind of stales and teeters and goes south. So adoption we often see as an afterthought, and it's really unfortunate because it's so critical to the success of any rollout. And then third, the cloud. So how that's really changing the environment now versus customers who were on on-premise solution. So, previously you would roll out an on-prem solution and then enjoy it, stay the same for 3 to 5 years until your next upgrade, and then boom, it's time to change. And so with the cloud, it's constantly changing. And with that, it's hard to get everyone on the same page with what's capable, what they're capable of doing, and how they can get the most benefit out of it. But really, when we're talking about adoption, the core here is winning the hearts of people. So you really have to set the expectations for them of why you're implementing this new solution, what it's going to do for them, how it's going to make their lives different from how they used to work, and just win their hearts over, and that will help drive this transformation process. So essentially, our goals for this session are to let you know what success looks like, how to get there. We have a ton of resources available on the Customer Success Center, which Katie will demo for you in a little bit. And yeah, let's get started. We have a fun 75
So before we jump into it, I want to set the stage real quick, right? One of the common things, as Lindsay mentioned, is a lot of us, and I'm guilty of this myself, when we deploy a technology, the way we think of adoption is like this. Oh, we're going to go to the cloud, we're going to migrate all the data to Office 365. 2 weeks before production, what do we think? Oh, we need adoption. And how do we spell adoption? Training. That's how we think of adoption. So if you don't remember anything in this hour, I want you to remember 2 words, okay? I want you to remember the words sustainable adoption. Can you repeat that with me? 1, 2, 3. Sustainable adoption. Because training is just a part of this model, and you'll see that throughout this session. And the key to sustainability is not just shoving people into a 2-day training, making them attend Ignite, which is a good thing, but it's not enough. And really, why isn't it enough? Because the world is changing, and I'm sure you would agree, right? Before, we live in this all-up world called on-premises. And today, a few years ago, we think that cloud was just a fad, but really, it's not. It's our reality, and it's a good thing. I always tell my customers, even the government, if infrastructure is not your core business, push it to the cloud unless there's security reasons, compliance, that you just can't do it, or go hybrid. We live in this new world. We live in a world where data abounds, right? Used to be, we live in silos. You only have so much information, but today we have too much information, in fact. Remember back in the days of the web, I founded a startup in the late 90s, and there's this mantra, right? They said, content is king. You remember that? It's not true anymore. Today, context is king. Tweet that. We used to think of work as a physical building. We go in, 8 o'clock, clock in, sit in our desk, work, and then clock out. I don't know if you saw the keynote. I love Gurdeep's keynote. He talked about the word workplace is a misnomer. Work today is whenever, wherever, however, with anything. That's the reality we live in, and that's the reality of the business that we serve. And friends, we used to live in a world, and we still do, of IT being reactive, fighting fires. You're getting paid too much to fight fires. We should be excited about this world of mobile and cloud because a lot of the things that we fight fires for, oh no, Service Pack Tuesdays, I forgot to do it. We don't have to do that. We could be more strategic and responsive and help the business get their job done, and that's exciting. This change is not a bad thing, it's a great thing. This shift is transformational. You know, shift happens. And I want all of you to join us in this major shift. And how do we do this? Friends, Microsoft has been working on this. I had the privilege to work with a team in the last 3 years to think about a model on how we drive sustainable adoption and how to be successful. Like Lindsay says, there's no magic pill. And it's not a one-size-fits-all, right? What Microsoft has done is put together these 4 specific steps that's tangible, actionable. We'll tell you customer stories. We'll give you templates that you can walk away and start using today. And really at a high level, the model we're going to look at, the steps we're going to take is first, understand what are we trying to do, right? Okay, we just signed Office 365 ELA. First thing we're going to do, we're going to move email. All right, and then what? I guess we're going to migrate SharePoint. And I feel like a lot of migration is like that show Hoarders. You guys watch that show? Can you make sure that 14 folders deep structure is replicated? Meta what? Metadata? I don't need that. But we got to figure that out. What is it for, right? The second point is once we figure it out, right? Okay, it's going to help us drive bigger revenues or cut costs or increase productivity, what have you. Number 2, now we have to decide what we're going to do first and next. Because as you all know, everyone in the business wants everything for nothing yesterday. We serve the same customers. Step 3, after step 2, we put together a plan, priorities, how we're going to roll it out. This sustainable adoption plan is now how do we execute? What kind of people do we need? What kind of skill sets do we need? Do we have the budget for it? If not, do we outsource it? Does it make sense if we hire a 200 people SharePoint team or Office 365 team? I don't know. And lastly, how do we know if it's working? I always ask this question with my customers with their Office 365 investment. How do you measure success? Oh, we're saving money. Yeah, okay, that's a good metric. What else? Are you doing better in your business? Are employees happier? Is your product selling more? Weiß es nicht. I don't know. But we have to measure. So I'll have Katie kick it off, and she'll talk about this idea of setting a vision and why it's very important.
Okay. So now we'll go deeper into each of the 4 steps. I'll start it off with setting a vision and identifying business scenarios. Okay. So step number 1, this is a really important step, but many times it's often missed. And I bet you in the room would agree with that. It's easy to say it's not needed. It's, as we keep saying, we've already said it a few times, that adoption for Office 365, it is a journey. It really is. And with any journey, you need to know where you're going. You need to know what you want to achieve up front. It's just not going to happen organically. And so often as well, and you'll see as we go through each one of them, a lot of times organizations will jump to some more of the tactical steps, like some of the stuff that goes on in 2, 3, and 4, and they really miss this one. And, oh, we don't have the time, or, oh, it's not important, that kind of thing. So this is really about taking just kind of one step back, kind of breathing, really thinking through your business. Like, what are your business goals? What do you actually want to achieve with Office 365? And then, the scenarios with your business, prioritizing those and looking at really what you're going to do with them longer term. Okay, and then also, Dux was just talking about all these shifts. And when we're thinking about setting up a vision and we're looking at our business scenarios, we're seeing this almost this new trend as IT, as business enablers. And I think there's actually a new term that's emerging, business-driven IT. I don't know if that resonates with anyone here in the audience, but we have this opportunity. You have this opportunity as IT professionals in the audience to really to take the time and look at your business decision makers, look at those stakeholders within your company, and make that connection, make that bridge. Translate the technology, translate what Office 365 can bring your business into the actual business value. Look at the capabilities that Office 365 brings across all of the scenarios, and look at the business solutions that you actually want to enable. There's a ton of opportunity there. We talk to customers, and we're just seeing more and more of this. We're really seeing a bunch of success around it. And I think we wanted to show you a quick video of one of our customers, Red Robin, and how they did this in an actual example.
Well, let me kind of put the background on this. So everybody knows Red Robin, at least those in North America. For those not from here, Red Robin is like a burger chain, and obviously they're a Microsoft customer. So one day the CEO said, with this increasing age of competition, right, we need to cut cost. And how do we best do this? So, there's a lot of ideas that came out. They said maybe we hire a consultant, or maybe we send a survey to all our 15,000 employees because they would know better how we can cut costs because they're in the front lines, they're working. And then talking about IT as a business enabler, the IT director says, hold on. It doesn't have to be complicated. We have this tool called Yammer, and everybody in the company has access to it. In fact, even on their phones, they have a mobile app for Yammer. And what we're going to do, we're going to crowdsource it. Essentially, what we're going to do is we're just going to ask everybody, hey guys, based on what you're seeing, can you give us some ideas on how we can save money? And then the CFO in this meeting said, that's cool, but why would I want to do it? Why would I care? Then the CFO said, let's make it a contest. Let's make it a contest where let's have people put their ideas in, and in a few weeks we'll pick the top 10 and make everybody in the company vote on Yammer. Because Yammer, you can do likes and stuff like that. And then whoever has the most voted idea, I will write my own check for $1,000 and give it away. All right, let's see what happened.
In the Great Recession, many best-in-class competitors made decisions around efficiency and effectiveness that helped them preserve their margins. Well, Red Robin hadn't done any of that. And from my experience, I realized that there were a lot of efficiencies to be had if we only unleash the power of our team members to help us.
Our CFO offered to write a $1,000 check out of his own pocket for the best cost savings idea that we could come up with, but he had two rules around those cost savings. The first is it couldn't negatively impact a guest or a team member, and second is it had to be sustainable. It couldn't be a one-hit wonder.
Well, historically, if you wanted to get ideas from the front line, you went out and you talked to people, and I did that. But with Yammer, you're able to put a challenge out to 25,000 people at the same time.
And what he did is he got on stage and he launched this at our annual leadership conference, but then engaged this contest on Yammer.
Surveys are one-way communication, whereas when you do this kind of challenge in a forum like Yammer, it becomes multi-directional and people can contribute to that idea.
Having that ability has really made us more of an innovative company, which is really going to move us forward in the industry.
Having them talk about it on a social network really engaged the competition. We ended up settling on a pretty simple winner, which was a reusable kids cup.
So it's better for the environment, it's obviously cost savings for the company, and it's a win-win all the way around.
Yammer was a terrific enhancement to that because it gave people the ability, without getting second-guessed or judged, to put ideas on the table about where we could save money without hurting the guest, without hurting the team member, and without compromising our quality.
Pretty cool, isn't it? I mean, imagine if they did that on email. People start talking, and no, that's a better idea. But the point being is, here's the cool part. What they didn't say in the video, do you think they only implemented that one idea? They implemented it, I think top 20 or top 50. And in literally a few months, they saw a couple $100,000 of savings. And that's the kind of conversation you want to have as IT with decision makers. In the survey we had earlier, the hardest part, Docs, is executive buying. I've been trying to pitch Azure, Office 365, Run DMC. But they keep telling me, what's the ROI? Don't pick big stuff. Little things like that. What's going on in your company right now? What's your initiative right now? Talk around that and paint the vision that, hey, look, our investment right now, we already have Yammer. Let's do this. One quick win, right? In the vision of saving money in the next 2 months, we could do it. That's what it means to be a business enabler. Not just pitching all these gadgets and whiz-bang dashboards. I know dashboards get you promoted, but when it comes down to it, this is what it means of putting a vision together along with your decision makers. And, go ahead.
Is this video available as a video link?
Yeah, so that's a great question. This session, everything is recorded. All the materials will be made available. We'll make sure that we send you a 50 gig attachment after the presentation.
Okay.
So this is an example vision, right, Katie? From
This is an example vision. And I think you'll notice or observe a couple things about this. And it's one sentence. And a vision doesn't have to be 3 paragraphs. A couple sentences to articulate really where you want to go. But you'll notice there's no mention of a product. There's no mention of Office 365 as part of this vision statement. And there's no mention of any specific types of features that are, the feature type of conversations. So this is really about driving the outcomes for the business. It's not about the product. Right?
Katie, this remembers me of a movie. Lindsay, you were talking about this movie, right? Yeah. You're talking to me about Fight Club. And she would say, what would you say about Fight Club?
What's the number one rule?
What's the rule of the Fight Club? Talk about Fight Club. The conversation has nothing to do with technology. So the next time people tell you Office 365 sucks or SharePoint sucks, has nothing to do with technology. You look at them back in the eye and say, Office 365 doesn't suck, you suck. It's a freaking tool. No disrespect.
And with that, I'm sure everyone now wants to know how to complete a visioning exercise. I'm sure you do, right? No, I'm not going to go through this in a lot of detail. This is just one example of some kind of steps and tips and tricks that we actually have on the Customer Success Center today. And it'll walk you through. I mean, some of this isn't rocket science, right? Pretty straightforward stuff. But it will kind of, probe you on the types of things that you want to be looking at. So just as an example here, basically, identifying basic business decision makers, executives within the organization, looking at the challenges that your company is actually facing, on a day-to-day basis and maybe long-term, 6 months to a year out, and then answer some hard questions, and that'll really help the conversation move and get you going. And all of this is on the Success Center, so we'll be demoing it, and we'll give you the URL so you can go out and check it out for yourself. And then, once you've established your vision, that can almost be the hardest part. Then start to go deeper. This part of step 1 is about looking at your business scenarios, prioritizing your workloads, and then really looking at the capabilities that Office 365 has, and how that, as a tool, will help you solve them. And so if you look at these core scenarios here, get it done from anywhere, emails and calendar on the go, store, sync, share your files, etc. These are all scenarios we think, longer term, most companies could take advantage of. And so really it's all about, identifying some low-hanging fruit, looking at what's most important for your organization now, and then mapping out long term, your priorities and where you want to go. And then from there, those are obviously very high level, again, apply to most organizations. You can take the next step and look at the tasks that differ by function, by role, and by department. And I'm not going to read through these 6, but these are just, again, examples. You could take storage, sync and share, go deeper based on department goals and scenarios within those specific departments. So I hope that helps you kind of lay the foundation. Again, this is just step 1. We have 3 more to go.
Sir, you had a
Yes.
question? Sure. We'll talk about that next step. Yeah. All right, you bet.
Perfect. Okay. Before we go to the next step, though, we did want to give you a quick preview of the Customer Success Center. The URL for that, if you want to jot it down, success.office.com. Just to get a sense, another poll, who has heard of the Customer Success Center? Oh, wow. That's great. Okay. Excellent. So we'll go through it quickly. Take some time, later. Come visit us in our booth. We're demoing it as well to go a little deeper on it. And it was just launched in September. We're constantly making improvements. I think we're on V3 already in just that amount of time. I think Dux is going to help me here.
Yeah. So, yep. Go ahead.
Okay.
So yeah, it's right here. Yeah. I don't think it shows up there. You could stand here.
Oh, perfect.
I can see it,
Okay.
yeah.
I'm going to switch sides. Okay. So again, I just talked through the scenarios. So when the first tab within the Success Center, it'll give you a little bit more detail in each one of those scenarios. It'll give you templates and tools that you can take and customize. Again, we're not trying to tell you exactly how to do it. You need to take kind of a model and bring it back and make it real for yourself.
And one thing, though, the real cool about this is the tools are all in Word or PowerPoint. You can tweak it, put your own logo, and really you can show it to customers. So you don't have to worry about building your own stuff from scratch, and that's really cool. And they constantly update it as well.
Yep. Exactly. And then the scenario section, it really just it'll go across each of those 5 core scenarios we talked about, give you a ton of resources, and then it'll go through more of the business benefits and benefits for your employees that you can take and articulate internally. So that's the scenario section. Deployment. So if you as an organization are not quite there yet, where maybe you're still in the midst of deployment or maybe you're planning deployment, this is also a great way to get more information about the onboarding center, about Fast Track. Again, we have a dedicated booth on deployment as well in the expo hall, and come on over and learn more about that. But that's available. And then we've got the adoption section. It's a little slow today. Anyway, the adoption section, it'll just go through the 4 steps. And again, go through the 4 steps, talk about the business benefits, and it'll talk about the resources to help you.
There you go. And then roadmap. Yeah.
Yep, roadmap. So this will be constantly updated. Sorry.
There you go. Roadmap's right here.
Okay, perfect. So public roadmap, so give you kind of the latest and greatest on what's coming with the service. And then finally, the community tab. I would encourage you all actually to go out to the community section and join our Yammer group, so the Office 365 network for success. Huge network of customers, great conversations going on there. And then we've also got links to all the Office blogs, so all the relevant blogs that we think that would be useful and interesting to you.
And one quick thing to add about the roadmap tab, we actually just added that. That's new. But in addition to listing all of the updates that are coming or in the works, we also have resources that you can use to help communicate these changes to your end users. Because at the end, the last thing you want is to come into work on Monday and everything is completely different or unexpected. So, in addition to full transparency, what's down the path. You can also communicate effectively with your employees.
I can't hear you in the back.
Can you bring up her mic? Yeah. Good. All right.
I'm going to test it again.
Is it?
Yep.
You guys hear me now? Oh,
Got
was
it.
I off that whole time?
Right. So.
Oh,
Okay.
okay. But just to quickly reiterate, in addition to this roadmap, so you not only know what's coming, what changes are coming, we'll also provide the resources so you can effectively communicate this out with all of your end users. So there's no disruption.
Great. So So we looked at step 1, right? So again, just to recap, step 1 is working with decision makers, figuring out a vision. And vision doesn't have to be big vision, right? It could be start small. And then off of that vision, so let's take Red Robin. We need to save money. But what does that mean? What does saving money mean? We have all these different scenarios, right? Saving money may mean decreasing storage on Exchange because we keep sending too much attachment, right? I don't think that happens anymore. So maybe that's not a good example. So anyway, so what are these different scenarios, or better collaborating with partners? So after we come up with these scenarios, the next step is reality check. How do we make this happen? Because there's no way we could do this as IT. And even before we prioritize it, one of the key exercise that you have to do along with the business is this idea of defining the solution. Okay? And when we talk about defining the solution, it doesn't mean what you think of the solution as IT. Y'all with me? Forgive my heavy southern accent. That y'all will come out here and there. I'm from the deep south, Manila, Philippines. Manny Pacquiao? Manny? So the idea is not what we think, right? Because here's an interesting stat on a serious note. You know, SharePoint has been around for 13, 14 years. A lot of you are familiar with it. But do you know around 70, 80% of global deployments is nothing but a big file share? Yeah? It's a very expensive file share. Because what happened? Again, we got this collaboration. We'll build the intranet, IA, metadata, all these web apps. We'll make it nice and pretty. Here, user, your bright and shiny intranet. It's what we think they need for collaboration. So when we talk about these solutions, right, how do we, like what Katie was saying, sync and share, better doing meetings or doing projects? What does that mean? And it's very important the experience for them is relevant, and it's very important that's something that they're a part of. So let me do this. Let me do a quick demo just to kind of talk through what I mean, because we could look through these ideas. But what does it actually mean? So let me paint a picture here. So let's say, and I actually work with a customer around this. So I was working with a customer. They're like, Docs, we got Office 365, and we got all this stuff. And so we went through the exercise, vision, and all that. So the first, or one of the many solution or business scenario that they were keen on is this idea of working better together around projects. Because this company, they build gas stations, and the way they manage projects with vendors is through heavy email going back and forth. Do you know email is still the #1 project management tool today? Yeah. A 1973 technology. Yeah. So they want to do better, right? But then the other thing, too, is at any given point in time, they have 100 projects. So having a platform like Office 365 would be brilliant because now they're able to take advantage of it using simple project sites. And the idea is for every project, we can put everything about the project. It's this concept of the one-stop shop. So let's say I have a project on building this presentation, and then all our tasks are here, documents, even conversations with a Yammer group, all that good stuff. And this is great. So it's good. Now, as we were about to finish this up and roll this out, we found out there was a process that every project manager does is at the end of the month, they would send somebody in accounting, so let's call him Mr. Garth. Mr. Garth in accounting would take in all 100 project expenses in Excel files via email, and then somehow put it on his desktop and make this big project expenses report every month, like a summary. Y'all follow me? And then I'm going, you know what, we can cut that out. I mean, we got this thing, we can make it better. So I talked to Mr. Garth. I said, Mr. Garth, your company just invested in this new technology. I know you're doing this email back and forth for expenses. How much time do you spend doing that every month? He said, I spend about 7 hours doing that one scenario, one exercise. And I told him, you know what, we can help you with this new technology. We can cut that down into 4 hours maybe, or even less. He said, okay, I'm all for it. So Mr. Garth, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to create a project expenses dashboard for you. The idea is every time there's an expense, project managers will enter it on their project site, and it'll roll up, and you'll see this nice shiny dashboard. You'll learn a little bit about Office 365. Say, whoa, stop. He said, Sonny? He called me Sonny. I'm retiring in 2 years. All my life, I've worked in accounting. I only use Excel and email. I can wait 2 years and keep doing this. That saving 4 hours, I don't care. I just don't want to learn anything new. You know Mr. Garth. How many are you, Mr. Garth, in the room? Okay. I broke the rule of the Fight Club. I talk about Office 365. Right? I forget I said that, Mr. Garth. I switch it up. I'm going to show you a feature in Excel. What? I know everything in Excel. No, there's this thing, I don't think you know it. So here's what we're going to do, Mr. Garth. Instead of project manager still emailing you, we're going to cut that email out. Every time a project manager enters an expense in their project site, in the spirit of having a one-stop shop, automatically it's going to show up in an Excel file sitting in your My Documents folder. You don't have to go anywhere. It's on your computer, on your desktop, just like how you like it. We're just going to take away the whole email stuff. So you could do that? I go, yeah. Let me show you, Mr. Garth. So I fire up Excel for him. In fact, let me create a new spreadsheet here. It's all out of the box. So let's say I want to put item, cost, and let's do, I don't know, we bought a projector for the presentation, and let's say we spent $500, okay? So I said, Mr. Garth, this is plain and simple. I'm going to put a little label here. I'm going to call it the Ignite session, right? I will change this in Excel to what's called an Excel table. And then as soon as I do that, Mr. Garth, check this out. A little thing here called Publish and Sync pops up. And what I'm going to do now is instead of typing the address of this project site, because I may get it wrong, all I'm going to do, Mr. Garth, is just type it in or copy and paste it in and then give it a name. Let's call it Ignite Expenses. I got to double check and hit publish. All right? So, Mr. Garth, what's happening is your Excel is talking to that project site, which you don't need to go. You sit in Excel, and then once it talks to it, it'll publish it and connect it. What's going to happen is, let me copy the URL. Hey, I didn't say I was perfect, right? So let's do this. In fact, let me just do it here. Copy. I think it was called Ignite Expenses. Oh, there's no space? All right, you know what? I'm going to do it here. I'll just go to Site Contents. That'll be my best friend. Ignite. There you go. Yeah, see? This is real. So what happened is, friends, because I wasn't using IE, it tried to open IE. So Excel published it, created this expense list, right? So now, what's a new process? So instead of project managers emailing Mr. Garth, what project managers will do, every time they spend something on the project, they just come to this list within the project site in the spirit of having a one-stop shop. We bought a car for the project, $80,000. It's called government contracts. No, joke only. We're recording right now. That was a joke. Now, how would Mr. Garth know? You know how in SharePoint you can create these things called alerts, right? So as a project manager, I can say anytime this expense list has been updated, alert Mr. Garth. So Mr. Garth will get an email alert, and once he gets his email alert, it says, Duck's just updated the expenses. He can go back to his project site, or not his project site, his Excel file, and just hit sync, and then bada bing, bada boom, there you go. So what am I saying here? Mr. Garth, he needs to get his work done. He likes Excel. That's his experience. Let it be. But wait, there's more. Not only does he see this, he's looking at the invoices and receipts, and he's like, hold on, you guys didn't buy a car. You bought carpet. And it's $800. Not only can he update it, now he's able to push it back to the project site in the spirit of having single source of truth. There you go. No more, I got to update it here, I got to update it there. Email back and forth. It all works together. Collaboration on my terms. I'm an Excel kind of guy. It works. The issue I find a lot with IT organizations, you got to go to SharePoint. You got to go to Office 365. in some cases, you don't have to. Y'all with me? How many of you don't know this? Just raise your hand. It's okay. No judgment. Some of you may be thinking, wow, this is a great Office 365 feature. I'm going to get it. But the problem is we're still in 2010 or even worse, 2007. This is not even new. This feature was introduced in Excel 2003 and SharePoint 2003. No, even SharePoint list. This is straight up SharePoint. Yeah. I just put a little project logo there to make you think I'm using Project Online, but I'm not. It's like $45 a month per user, you know? So, so that's the whole point, right? Now, listen, it's not the end-all, be-all. Don't get me wrong. It's very simple, and it solves simple problems. That can do a lot of complex calculation. But what ended up happening, I got to finish the story. So when I showed this to him, he did this for the 99 other sites, connected different spreadsheet, and he created like a summary sheet. You know how in Excel you create a summary sheet where you pull data and like pivot tables? Agree, yeah. So he has his reports, no more email. 3 months later, I told him, watch how much time you spend the next 2-3 months in capturing this information. 3 months later, he talked to me and said, Dux, this is great. Instead of the normal 7 hours, number one, I only spent 5 hours this month. I don't have to deal with email going back and forth. Number two, because I used to do this at the last minute, I used to do a lot of overtime, which the company had to pay time and a half. It may not be a big deal, a couple of hours, but it adds up. So let's think about value here. Mr. Garth saved 3 hours every month for this one exercise. The company, we don't have to pay time and a half to Mr. Garth because he gets his job done. Those are the kinds of value proposition you want to bring up. So Mr. Garth, what are you doing now with the time you saved? I learned how to use Instagram. That's a different problem. So, there's a lot of great stories out there. Another great story is our friends from Nationwide Insurance. Any folks from Nationwide Insurance in the room? All right. They have a fantastic story on how they drive adoption and how they demonstrate the value of these technology. Make sure you talk to them. Check out their sessions in the last SharePoint conference. It's all recorded. It's all online. So when we think about business solutions and providing value, your solution should match these factors. This was a research done by Everett Rogers. It's the whole idea of early adopter, but it applies across the board. What do these factors look at? Number one, what's the advantage? Why would I want to do this? Oftentimes we hear from the business, you're giving me another tool? I don't have time for that. Right? It's like, ooh, check out this new Ferrari. The first week, people will be excited. Ooh, no, nice shiny Ferrari, expensive. And then they'll scratch their head. I just learned how to ride a bike yesterday called email and Excel. I don't have time for this. I'm just going to leave this in the garage, dump all my files there, and still ride my bike to work. What's the advantage? A quick example there. Wow, I don't have to deal with email. It shows up in Excel. That's good. How compatible is it to how I work, right? You're telling me to not send attachments, not use email, and go to this thing called SharePoint sites or Office 365 groups or Delve. I just don't roll it like that. Yeah? How simple or how hard is this? So it depends on your audience. What about trialability? What does that mean? This is important, and that's the beauty of the cloud. Can I play and try and innovate and ideate, or do I have to fill out a ticket request to ask for a site that I can play with, and oh, by the way, put some SharePoint Designer on the side? You didn't get that? SharePoint Designer on the side? It has to be easy enough for them to play with. And then, how easy is it for me to learn more, right? When I showed that to Mr. Garth, he kind of understood the concept, and he knew a lot of Excel, and then he tried to do other things with SharePoint. Think about them. Always start small. Keep it simple. Again, I'm not saying that you don't do your big implementation. Dux, we're about to migrate. We're going to roll out a new intranet. That's all fine and dandy. But listen, do not ever pitch this platform as a new intranet. Ever. You're minimizing the capability and the value of this platform if all you're saying, we're going to have a new intranet Office 365. Now people are thinking, wow, better HTML, I guess. One thing I find a lot of organizations, nobody's talking, or I shouldn't say nobody, but not a lot of people are talking about this integration with Office and Office 365. That's huge. Start small. Look at the low-hanging fruits, just like sharing files with external entities, working on projects together, being mobile, and be able to prioritize it. So this will answer the gentleman's question. Docs, I work in a mega big conglomerate. This is all good. It feels great. But how do you deal with like more strategic, platform-wide, worldwide stuff, right? So, and this is the reality, right? As you work with the business, you have your vision, you have all these business scenarios. Now you're scratching your head. What do we do first? The idea of prioritizing your solutions is key. So I'm going to share an example that I did with a customer, and I'll come back to the slide. And this kind of relates to the gentleman's question earlier. Is it? Okay. So this was actually a couple years ago. Okay. So this was with a county, a government entity. In this example, they were upgrading from SharePoint 2007, and not just SharePoint, everything Microsoft to 2010. And I was working with the IT director. He's like, Docs, we have to be able to prioritize. We can't do it all. And the business wants everything, right? So I go, okay, let's go through this exercise. So I spent literally not more than a half a day. I set up a meeting, and certainly you can do this remote as well. I had them arrange for me to meet with key decision makers in different departments. So what you can see is operations, HR, finance, what have you. So those are what the acronyms on the side mean. And as I met with the different departments, again, rule of the Fight Club, didn't talk about SharePoint. I said, operations department, what are some of the challenges on a day-to-day level as a business that you deal with? And then they start talking, right? They said, Docs, we got this process called SOP creation. It's very email heavy. Go back and forth. We lose the right version, blah, blah, blah. So as they're describing, I'm just typing it in. And as they're describing the process, the pain, I'm starting to ideate what the solution looks like. Column C essentially is just a listing of out-of-the-box capabilities of the platform. Or, we can use a document management capability, workflow auditing, what have you. And then they went on. We have departmental orders, accident report review challenges, all that good stuff. Y'all follow me? And then before I ended the quick meeting, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, I said, if there is one thing IT can help you today with, make it better, improve, automate, what would that be? Oh, Docs, this thing called accident report reviews, if we can automate it and, time matters, the speed of the approval from the insurance company matters, lives are at stake, that would be huge because we just rely on email. I go, okay. So I did the same exercise across different departments, and then on the next spreadsheet, I flipped the view. I said, okay, based on HR's needs, here are all the capabilities of what the platform can provide. Now I'm tying the business need to features in the solution. Y'all follow me? And then we start to measure, right? How important is this to the business? Column C. 5, at least this is my metric, 5 is very important. And what we're going to do here, friends, is what 5 means is, it's going to help the business improve a lot whatever they're doing. Maybe improve performance evaluation, onboarding, what have you. What is the size and effort to do this? It's a 2. What does a 2 mean? A 2 means it takes, 3-person weeks to build all that. So this may vary in your organization based on the skill set and the resources you have. What's the impact to the business? 3 means it's high impact. It's going to help them save money, make money, what have you. How reusable is that solution? 3 means it's highly reusable across the organization. So think about site templates, workflow templates, list templates. If it's a 1, it's a throwaway. 2, it's only reusable for this group. And then we measure the total business value. 9 is the total value. So there's a formula. And what does this show? After we do this quick calculation, we get the business back in and we say, this is what it means to deploy SharePoint in your organization that would meet all your needs. And as you can see, there's no way we could do everything. And from a business level priority, that's what the priority looks like. Y'all follow me? And I hate to admit this is something we don't do as IT. We work with the business. We want to deploy Office 365. How do you like your sites? Team sites, surveys, wikis. You want to supersize it? BCS next. Right? I was working with an organization recently. They said, Dux, what do you think of social, Delve, all that, Graph? We're going to roll all that out. I go, why? Why? And they were quiet, which makes me, again, insecure as an immigrant to this country that my English not good enough. I said, ¿por qué? Why do you need groups, Delve, Yammer, Wiki? Isn't that the new thing? Isn't that what Microsoft's pushing? But what does that mean, I asked, to Mr. Garth in accounting processing invoice? If you cannot tell me how it's going to help Mr. Garth, then don't even do it. But if you ask me here, okay, why are we doing these lists for HR? Oh, we're doing these lists for HR because, guess what? It's going to help HR with their monthly metrics report. Y'all follow me? And then you have to be real, too. So when you show this to the business, right, it'll help communicate what it means to do this, but you have to be realistic about how much IT can do and cannot do. And this is a good thing, because now if we show the business, this looks like the business priority, but hold on, HR, if I build all that list for you, it's going to take 20 hours to set up AD or ADFS, whatever, another 20 hours to support in a couple of months, another 20 hours for training. That's like 1 FTE or something. And that's something we cannot provide. We as IT, we provide the infrastructure, the base level platform. And I know it's important to you, but this is something we cannot provide for now. And this is a good thing. Listen, the expectation from the business is IT has to spend for everything. This is a good conversation to say, we did our part, and you saw the value, we would love to help you, but you got to pony up. Either, send people to training, or get me a contractor, or buy me a product, whatever, right? But this is a good conversation. It's a good thing. And then past that, after you talk, you look at this, you come to a consensus. How are we going to do this? At least for this customer, we rolled it out in a 3-phase approach, 18 months, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. And then obviously we formalize it in a formal plan and roadmap and what have you. Is this helpful? You guys want this? Yeah. $100 a down. There you go. Thank you. Hey, I got 2 kids, right? They got to go to college. So, so the point is, I want to step through this. Hopefully you don't mind showing examples after examples. But what Microsoft has put together is a similar idea, a little simpler, right? And then you can build off of that, where you have the vision, you have the scenarios, you have the potential solutions, and now you rank and work with the business to ask, what are we going to do first? And here's the best part about that ranking. When they come back to you and tell you, I don't like how it looks, make it pretty. You don't get that, right? I want you to brand it. I go, that's cool. Let's look at that spreadsheet again. I don't see a business need for branding. Now, it could be a need. It could be a valid need, but how it's going to impact all the other business needs. Y'all follow me? It's a good thing. So all these resources, friends, are available for you, and you can, again, download it from the Success Center. The other thing I want to quickly show you is Microsoft made it even easier. Katie was talking about the Success Center. What Microsoft also did is they put together a wizard. They officially launched it today. I want to feel like I'm Satya. I'm announcing today that the Office 365 Success Center has a wizard that will help you build your adoption plan, what tools you need, what templates you need. So you log in, you talk about your needs, some scenarios, and it will spit out this list, essentially, okay, you'll need this template, that checklist, this step, this kind of email, all that good stuff. Will that be useful? Yeah, the URL is there. It's successoffice.com/portal, and I believe I just tweeted it too. Yep, I'm wearing HoloLens, so. Okay. So it's there, and again, put your plan together, and the good news is there's tons of examples and resources from the Office Success Center. And once you have your plan, Lindsay, how do we make it work? How do we make it happen?
So this is when things get real. So you have your adoption plan in place, and now it's time to design the fun communication activities to really land this with your employees. So when we're thinking about designing the strategy, we recommend using a mixture of activities and tactics, but really honing in on 3 key things. So the first being communications. So this can vary from newsletters, communication templates, emails, posters in the hallway. There's a breadth of opportunities or options you can do. Engagement events. So engagement events, this is where you really want to build the community and bring users together. So they're going through this process together. So for example, a town hall event to kick things off. Maybe some kind of contest, them doing a particular activity, the most effective way. Even as simple as creating a Yammer group, so people can come together and ask questions, share best practices. They're going through this together. It's that peer-to-peer learning aspect. And then last but certainly not least is training. So training is critical, but it's not the end-all, be-all, cure to solving adoption. So when we're looking at, kind of putting together a mix of these activities, you really want to drive awareness and excitement for this launch. So before the rollout, users should know what's coming, when it's coming, importantly, why it's coming, and what's in it for them. So this is where what's in it for them comes in huge, because if they don't understand the impact it will have for them in a positive way, then they're not going to take the time and energy to learn something new. So when you're driving awareness and excitement, and they have a very solid understanding of what's coming, when, why, and how it will benefit them, then they don't fear change, they look forward to it. And that's really, really monumental here. And then in steps 1 and 2 that Dex and Katie went through, when you're working closely with the business groups, and you really understand what their priorities are, you can use that language and use those scenarios and help tailor your communications around that, so it really resonates and lands well with them. And then when you are going about this and designing your strategy here, the Success Center has all of the templates. We have examples of what other customers have done and how they've created their own internal company content. And we have some really creative examples. You can find it online, but I want to tee up a quick video we'll show you. This was a teaser video to let the employees know about the Hive coming. So they took Office 365, their network, and branded it the Hive. So it was something personal to the company. And here we go.
Yeah, it's coming up. It's loading.
And you'll notice here that they do follow the #1 rule of Fight Club. And I think it will stand out, but hopefully you'll see the impact it had, where they're not just pushing product names down their throats. They're really generating excitement about what's possible with this new launch of
Yeah, what's
Hive.
pretty cool about this company is Sunoco, and they not Sunoco, not the gas station, it's another company, but what they did is this video. So let me play it. Pretty cool, isn't it?
So that's on the Success Center, and there are a few other examples too of customer-created videos. And they each have their own approach. Some are cartoons, some are real employees talking about what they're most excited about for the launch. So I encourage you to go check those out. And when you are driving this enthusiasm and excitement for the upcoming new solutions, you want them to feel comfortable about how they're going to use it and thus drive confidence in what they can take away from it. So again, you want to provide very targeted, tailored communication based on their needs expressed earlier in the steps, so it resonates with them. And I'm going to quickly run through these slides in the sake of time, all in the Success Center, and they're all ready to use, ready to brand, resources you can take from online. And really encourage you to come see us in the expo hall in the adoption booth and the deployment booth. We can talk to you more about some of these resources available for training. Another huge aspect to training is to make it fun. I don't know if we have time to do a...
No. I mean, I'm fun. Am I not?
I don't know. How's Stuck's been doing?
You want to have fun? So, and this is serious notes, right? You like that? All right, can we bring the music down for this one? All right. So this is on a serious note. This is what I've worked on in the past. So I work for AppPoint, and part of what we do is we help drive sustainable adoption, not only through our products, but really a strategy. And we had one customer we were working with. They're like, Docs, we're a global company. We need to do train-to-trainers. We can't afford training and face-to-face for everybody. I said, you got to make it short and fun. So here's what you do. When you start the training, say, okay, guys, you got to listen. You got to learn this stuff, because once we're done, we're going to play this thing called Office 365 Jeopardy. All right? You guys want to play it? Let's try. Okay, let's play Jeopardy. Okay. So what we're going to do, we're going to play Office 365 Jeopardy. Let me bring my Jeopardy board. All right. So you guys know how to play Jeopardy, right? I think there's different versions of this around the world. So anyway, let's start with Jeopardy. My name is Docs, and today we have these categories. SharePoint doesn't suck, migration, pain points, enterprise social, adoption, and best practice. So I'm going to pick the first category. SharePoint doesn't suck for 100. So again, anybody can answer. Raise your hand, and you know how you answer in Jeopardy, right? Form of a question. All right, let's do it. SharePoint doesn't suck for 100. What features in SharePoint allows up to 99 people edit a document at the same time? Yes, ma'am?
What is document co-authoring?
What is document co-authoring? Let's give her a big hand. I'm also going to give you a ticket to come to our booth to get a chance to win a Ducati. All right? Real. Now, want to do one more? One more? Okay, so the way it works is, co-authoring. They hit back. The music's wrong. Anyway, let's do migration for 100. What type of upgrade where configuration data for the farm and all the content in the farm is upgraded on the existing hardware? Yes, sir? What is in-place upgrade? Let's give a round of big applause. Here, let me, Katie. So let's stop and think about this, right? How did that feel? It was fun. A lot of people did not know the answer. You learned something new. My rule of thumb, keep it fun and interactive. As long as it's not illegal, do it. And guess what? This is nothing but a PowerPoint deck. You guys want that? All right. So keep it fun.
And as you guys all just experienced here, it's that engaging peer-to-peer learning that's really most effective. That's what we found from speaking with customers and research with users. So quickly going through, to really leverage this peer-to-peer learning, we highly encourage you to groom champions. So champions are usually the early adopters, the tech-savvy people who are excited, understand, and can evangelize the new solutions to their own business groups. So when their colleague has a problem, they can kind of provide that contextual support and training. And it, again, really just sustains the adoption and ongoing usage of these platforms. So on the Success Center, we have guidance, checklist how you can build this community. You don't have to boil the ocean, but you don't want to underestimate the value and the impact that champions can have for your platforms. And adoption isn't it doesn't just kind of conclude. It's an ongoing process and a journey. And it needs to be iterative and engaging, and you need to evaluate the success, how it's being used, create that feedback loop. So again, Yammer is a great platform to do that. Create a group, what's working, what's not, highlights, lowlights, and then keep it going. So we have a fourth step that Dex will...
Yeah, so we talked about this, right? These different steps. First of all, what do you think of the session so far? Relevant? Useful? Good. Somebody just tweeted, "You're like the Tony Robbins of IT, you know?" If all this cloud stuff doesn't work out, I have another job. So we set the vision, right? Identify business scenarios. We figure out what these solutions look like. Do quick wins. Prioritize. Put together a plan, as Lindsay's talking about. If we roll it out, make it interactive and fun. And then once we roll it out, right, how do we measure? How do we continue to grow and demonstrate success? So we got to measure progress against a benchmark. There's a lot of different ways to do this, but let me just share a very quick example. Mr. Garth, he spends 7 hours before every month processing that invoice, and because how he's doing it today, he's spending 4 hours, and that's just one use case. If you guys have the chance, go to Channel 9. Sarah Hasse had a session back in SharePoint Conference. She had this whole great spreadsheet on how you track your wins. And now you can go back to decision maker and say, this is how much we've saved, this is how much productivity we've contributed, etc. But it's important to measure. And when you measure, make sure it's a mix of qualitative and quantitative results. And this is important, right? So for example, I was talking with a CIO, he's like, "Dux, look like adoption is good because there's a lot of likes in my network last Monday." You know how Yammer, there's... you could look at, for some of you not familiar, in central admin for Yammer, you can see how many messages, likes, and conversations, what have you. And I said, how do you know that's a good thing, right? And then we kind of track where all the likes came from. It was a conversation between a bet of Mayweather and Pacquiao. And somebody said Mayweather is a hugger, and then there's a lot of likes. They were a tire company. Had nothing to do. I mean, it's cool. People are having fun, right? But then does that truly contribute benefits to the business? So you look at those two things, right? You set your qualitative and quantitative criteria and look at those two things. Microsoft, through the Success Center, has a lot of templates and ideas for you on how you measure your success. And once you measure and capture the success, broadcast it. I love what a lot of companies are doing now. They're creating little testimonials and stories. In Microsoft corporate IT internally, they're sharing stories on how technology is helping get their jobs done faster, better, sooner. And be able to effectively drive change. So let's look at this quick video from Henkel and see how they drove adoption for the organization.
Make it happen. We had to simplify our environment. The users were demanding that. It was much too complex. We had Office 2003 for 10 years, and we had Lotus Notes for over 15 years. We were far away from a really modern workplace. The Office 365 solution was a perfect fit to that overall strategy of Henkel. The key of our success was to communicate to our leadership management from the beginning.
They were backing us and giving us the full power and mandate to implement it. You need a strong project management capability and team resources, which we had in place. It's crucial to get it communicated and in the right way.
Office Pro Plus, we rolled it out and we did the click-to-run implementation, the complete link rollout, SharePoint rollout, and the migration from Lotus Notes to Outlook.
So we were much faster than anticipated.
We thought there would be more applications where we would have issues. We had to look at 1,500 global applications and 11,000 Lotus Notes databases. We have migrated, we are up to 99% at the end, much higher than we expected. It was so important to have this change management program to get users on board. People realized very fast that this is a huge step for them and this is a huge improvement for their daily work. Communication is key to success. We gave them a lot of tools to get answers to quick questions. Over 100,000 e-likes were taken by the users. This was really the right strategy to get the people to the new tools.
Overall, it was a very seamless process.
So essentially, they took this process, these steps, and was able to drive adoption along with their deployment. You know, before we wrap up, keep in mind, when we talk about sustainability, it's not a one-time event. You don't do it every 3 years. It's a commitment, and it's a good thing. And you don't have to start big. Start with a vision, identify different scenarios, prioritize them, put together a plan how you're going to drive it, and go ahead and execute your plan and keep measuring and showcase and demonstrate success. What do you guys think? Useful? Now, before we all wrap up, I want you to do one more thing, right? Can you just all join me and shout out this one word? 1, 2, 3. Shift happens. Thank you so much. We got tons of great resources on the Office 365 network. Thank you, Katie, Lindsay.
Thanks, Dax.
Thanks, everyone.
Phenomenal.